everyone, and welcome back to Coloring with Haley. I have a different type of video for you today. I saw a lot of people doing these rankings of their books from some of their favorite artists last year, and I always wanted to do one, but I never got the time. And I thought now, doing minis in May, would be a good time to show you all of my miniatures books and rank them in order from my favorite to least favorite. I want to preface this though by saying my least favorite miniature book is still far ahead of my least favorite coloring book that I own overall. The miniatures books are some of my favorite books that I own. I love Camelia's artwork, and this is not in any way trying to put down any of her artwork. I just thought it would be interesting to show you guys what my favorite books were and why. I still love all of them and color in all of them. Just because one is my least favorite doesn't mean I dislike it by any means, okay? That's not what it means. I still love it. I just thought it would be interesting to see what my favorites were, and you guys can tell me what your favorites are. There's so many now, I think everyone has a very specific book that they love. I'm going to go ahead and move the bunny and the duck out of the way so I can show you my first one, which might surprise some of you. So I'm going to go in order from favorite to least favorite, and at number 1, my favorite is 50 Safari Miniatures. I think this might be a surprising answer. I'm sure some of you thought I might say Halloween, but don't worry, that is near the top. This one is just my favorite. I love the pictures in this one. She's done so many cute safari animals and safari themed houses. When I was a kid, I grew up watching a lot of Animal Planet and a lot of National Geographic and a lot of documentaries, and I really loved documentaries that were focused on Africa and like the safari. I loved the giraffes, elephants, zebras, hyenas, lions, and this book just has all of that in it and more. Let me get to one that I colored that wasn't this month. I know I've colored several in here. If I can find one. That was for this month. That's for this month. Come on, I've got a zebra page in here somewhere. There we go, there's one of my zebra pages. I had to do a zebra page first because I just love zebras so much. This one is just my favorite, definitely because of the theme, honestly. Just perfect. She's thought of every African animal to put in here. You know, you even have your hyenas, hippos, I believe there's a rhino. I know there's a warthog and a water buffalo. I cannot identify plants. I'm just gonna be quite forward with you and say that I don't know anything about plants at all. But I do know from watching a lot of documentaries about African animals that she did include some very realistic plants in here. Let me find this tree that I'm talking about here. It's called, I believe, there it is. I believe it's the baobab tree. They're like only native to Africa. They have this big kind of fat tree trunk that goes off into this slimmer tree. So she really did her research on even the native plants when doing this book, and I'm just in love with it. The theme, for me, it's just perfect. So that is my all-time favorite. Number 2 on my list, yeah, okay, it's the Halloween one. Your surprise can be over now. I do love the Halloween one. You guys know that Halloween's my favorite holiday. I like horror movies, spooky things, zombies, ghosts, all that type of stuff. So yes, the Halloween one was going to be up here for sure. She released this last year, and it's her only one that has black background, which I actually like. There's no black backing, just the page itself is black, and I'm really a fan of that. And I did a lot of pages in here last year for Halloween. I am in love with this one. They're all cute, though. They're all cutesy Halloween pages. She does have skeletons and ghosts. Here's some ghosts, but they're cute ghosts, you know? Nothing creepy. Here's a vulture. I did the vulture because I liked this page. A different animal for her. She hasn't done any vultures before. And this one includes a big variety of animals. Now, mine does have a printing error. This is supposed to be black over here, this corner, and a few of the pages are like that, but not all of them, and it didn't bother me enough personally to send it back to Amazon, but for the majority of you, the entire page is going to be black like that one right there. Let me show you a page. There we go. These were just so cute, and I did a page with kittens on it, up here toward the front somewhere. There it is. These kittens that were sort of like conjuring up this ghost out of the jack-o'-lantern. I just love this page, and I think the glitter that you put on it really stands out against the black background. as well. You get a couple haunted houses. She's done a haunted house right there. Just lots of jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins and spiders and ghosts and skeletons and of course a lot of candy. Here's the back, which kind of gives you a good idea too about what's in here. But I love this one. This is the only holiday that I'll color out of season, personally. I'll color Halloween anytime. I don't really like to color Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day out of season, but I could color Halloween any time of the year. I'm just such a big Halloween fan. Next up at number 3 on my list is 50 Autumn Miniatures. This was my first miniature book from Camellia Angel Cova, and I'm very partial to it because it was my first one, but also because autumn is my favorite season, and it does include a couple of Halloween themed pictures in here, so that gave it extra points for me. Let's see, here's a cute Halloween one that I did last year as a buddy color with Misty. We did this creepy door. And here's a page that I did, probably one of my earliest pages. It was before I started doing a lot of the outlining and stuff. Let's see, I've done a page in here as a buddy color, and I've got a color and chat up in this. Here's another early page that I did. I did a little bit of outlining on this one, but not a lot. And I also outlined the bottom of it. For a while there, I was kind of outlining the entire picture as well, like some people do, and then I decided against it. Let's see, I know this was a very early one that I did, and I believe I did this as part of a color and chat. I did the squirrels one last year. It's interesting to look at these old books and see how much my coloring has evolved and changed. Like, take for example, that page that I said was probably one of my earliest pages, possibly even the first page I colored in this book, compared to this one with the squirrels, and you can just see a lot of difference in it already. In the way I color and do details and outlining, it's different. You can see that the coloring's smoother, there's not as many splotches, so it is interesting to look back on things like that. I know I've done a page, there we go. I did this one last year with these dogs and the corn, and I love how this one turned out. Did the mice also. Of course, her mice are so signature. They're in all of her books, and I have come to really like these little mice characters. I'm not even a big fan of coloring mice, but I really enjoy them. I know this one was a very early page as well that I colored, and you can see once again the difference in how I colored these mice early on to how I colored these mice kind of later as I learned more about coloring with markers and doing details, so it is fun to look back on things like that. And I did this one last year as well. I like doing my pumpkins in different colors, but I do like keeping with the theme that this is fall, so I do want to do all the leaves in a fall colors. I don't know, I can't do them like bright green leaves like it's springtime, you know? Oof. I want them to be specific to the book, so this one's number 3 for me because I'm just such a big fan of fall. Number 4, I have 50 Jungle Miniatures. You might be kind of surprised that this one's not higher because this one does have a lot of frogs in it. And I love my frogs and coloring frogs, but overall the theme of the jungle, I like the jungle a lot, but not as much as Safari and not as much as I am a fan of Halloween stuff. So that's why it's not quite at number 1, although the pictures in this are adorable. She has a lot of monkeys and tigers and leopards and of course frogs, which makes me happy. Now let's find some pages that I've colored in here to show you. And this is one of her newer releases as well. Here we go. Here's one that I did for Froggy February. I did these frogs doing leapfrog. I made them my little poison dart frogs because of course those live in the jungle. I do like to kind of do my animals realistic, so poison dart frogs come in a lot of colors. But for this one, I did try to do some that weren't as realistic. However, I did keep my sloths here realistic. This was a buddy color with Misty when we first got this book. This was before I was doing some of the outlining. I only really started that late last year, I believe. And I know I've done another frog page toward the front. Here we go. This one is my favorite. I love doing this one. This is the only one that I've done animals in like unconventional colors, but I just love how this one turned out. This one is so cute to do. And I'm very happy with this book, I am. She's got a lot of sloths and toucans. This one does have a wide variety of animals, and that is something that I took in mind when ranking all the books was the variety of animals and scenes that she included, because I do love coloring animals, and the more the merrier for me. So there even is some more frog pictures in here. I know there's one that a lot of you did for Froggy February, right here, that I haven't got to yet. But I will probably color this month as part of Minis in May. So I'm happy with this one. A lot of variety, and I like the jungle a lot. Just not as much as I like Halloween and Safari. I do watch a lot of jungle documentaries, of course. I did watch a lot of them as a child, but there's something about the Safari ones that stand out in my mind more to me. So next up at number 5 is 50 Winter Miniatures. I actually do like winter time. I kind of do like spring more than winter, but you'll see why spring is not in this place. Winter has a lot of variety in it from her. Here's one that I did last year for New Year's. And this winter one doesn't have too many Christmas pages in it. It's got some, of course, because, I mean, Christmas is in the wintertime here in North America. I love how this page turned out with these little snowflake babies, and I did their snowflakes glittery. Here were my polar bears that I did in unconventional colors. Again, a little unusual for me. I did the gingerbread. I did the Stog. I've done a lot in here. It was definitely my second book that I got from Chameleon Angel Cova. I ordered it as soon as it came out because I was in love with the fall one just so much. So I had to pick this up. But like I said, there aren't too many Christmassy pages in here. There are a fair amount of winter pages. And since I don't like coloring Christmas out of season, I picked this one over the Christmas book itself, given the number of just nice wintertime pages it has in it. I have colored a lot in here. I do like this one a lot. She does have quite a few different animals in here as well. Some nice variety, nice different pages. I've had a lot of fun coloring in this one. Of course, I've used a lot of glitter in this one because of all the ornaments and lights. I always use glitter on my ornaments and on my lights because it makes the lights look like they are actually lit up. So those are some of the pages that I've done in this one. And like I said, she's got a nice variety in here. The mice do occur some. There's birds, penguins, polar bears, fireflies, bunnies, squirrels, sweets, all kinds of stuff in this one. There's this cute one, the squirrel skiing. That might be what I do for Minis in May. I really like that one. Some snowmen in here too, which I actually quite like the snowmen pages. She did put a few of those in the Christmas one, and I'd like to see more of those. I could have a book full of the snowmen, but I'm not sure if a lot of people would like coloring in that as much as I would. So that came in at number 5, which she's got 11 books out, so it's kind of like 5.5 would be halfway through, but we'll go ahead and say that this is halfway through. Up next is the Christmas miniatures. Now, I do have Easter over here, and you're going to be wondering, if you like spring more, why'd you put Christmas in front of Easter? Well, the Christmas one just has a greater variety of different critters in it. And this came out last year, and I love it. The lines in this one seem a lot thicker than in many of her books. I think she did thicker lines in this one. I did this page like my puppy Finn, and it turned out super cute. So I do appreciate the fact that this has thicker lines. But she did also put a lot of animals in here that we haven't seen from her before, like this moose. And there's a camel up here. I know I did the camel page. Here's another page with a snowman and like her little snow dog, which I found was really, really cute. Here's the camel. Haven't seen her do a camel before, so that's nice, interesting, different animals. She put a sloth in here too. Of course, I had to do the sloth page because that's my mom's favorite animal. She's got these mice. There are a few pages in here that are just kind of general winter themed, but the majority of them are Christmas. I mean, I could call this one a general winter theme. I would call that one more Christmas because it does have the ornaments. Let's see if I can find another one that's kind of just a general winter theme. She's got a bunch of penguins and dogs in here too. Bears. I would consider this one to just be general winter time with the porcupines. Of course, she's got cats, a bunch of gingerbread men. She's got a little deer in here too. She just included a lot of different animals that we haven't seen before in some of her works, and so I'm kind of hoping, I like the camel. I kind of hope maybe she does like a desert miniatures. I don't know. That would be really cool. That would be fun. So that's why Christmas is here ahead of some of the other books. Though it is Christmas themed, I don't really like to color Christmas out of Christmas season. She did do a lot of animals in this one, especially animals that we hadn't seen from her. So next up is Easter. And again, it's only behind Christmas. Really, they would have been a tie, but I decided to put Easter behind Christmas because it does have less animals. She did a lot of chicks and lambs and bunnies, which I totally understand. Those are definitely animals that you think of when you think of Easter. So I get it. But it just had just that smidgen of less variety for me. She, of course, does have other animals. I think there's ducks, squirrels, roosters. There's a peacock in here. But this one is really fun, and I did do a lot of pages in it. And of course, this is her newest one as well. So here is a stork that I did. This one, like the last one, has a few just general season pages. Here was my lamb. Here was one. This was a buddy color with Christine. This one was really cute. It has a few just spring pages. This one could be just a spring page. Here are my little cotton candy lambs. But the majority of it, like the Christmas book, is themed around Easter, and I feel weird about coloring Easter outside of Easter. Although I'm going to for minis in May, I probably wouldn't pick it up unless I was doing a tag like that, if it wasn't Easter time. There we go, I knew I did another one here, this little dog. And this one's really cute, I like how she's drawn the dog. You can really tell how much her art has evolved when you look at all these books together. I'm going to show you some of her older books in a minute. And you can tell how far she's come and how much better she's gotten at drawing the animals. Like, a lot of them are in really dynamic poses right now, like this dog hauling the wagon, where she kind of started out putting them in still poses. So I also think that's a little interesting thing to note. But yeah, for me, Easter, it came in just behind Christmas because I don't really like to color either of them out of season, but just because it had less variety of animals in it, though I completely understand why. I mean, you wouldn't really want to put a moose in the Easter book. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. So next up is Ocean Miniatures, and I have to be honest and say that Ocean is not my favorite theme. Of course, I have all of her books, and I love them, and I bought it because full set syndrome, but I do color in this book, and I do like it. I've already done one in it for minis in May. I'm just not the biggest fan of coloring stuff from the ocean. Not really a mermaid fan, not a big fan of fish, you know, just things like that. And so, for me, this one, it kind of lost points because of the overall theme. Just not an ocean person. Here's a page that I did with the clownfish. I actually think I've colored not as many pages in this as I have in some of the other books, just because I'm not a big fish person. She does include some interesting animals in here. You know, there are sea turtles, and I know there's a page that I just colored with an octopus, and of course, her mice are in here, some dolphins. It's not all fish, but still, I'm not the biggest fan of the ocean. Just overall, and I know that's sort of controversial, a lot of people love the ocean. This would be a good one to do for minis in May, actually, now that I'm looking at it. This is like a cute summary page. Just not the biggest fan of the ocean. I love eating seafood. You know, I could totally eat a bunch of crab and oysters and clams. Just not a big fan of coloring the ocean. And I don't know why, because the ocean, you can kind of go crazy. There's a lot of bright colored coral and fish down there. You could pick a whole rainbow of colors. It's just not my thing to color for some reason, and I don't really know why. That's a great question. Of course, there are a couple of seals in here, like she's got on the title page there. There it is. I don't know. I'm just like, you know, the ocean. Up next is 50 Romantic Miniatures. This was her Valentine's Day book, and I like this one, but it seems to me like this one doesn't have as many animals in it as it has scenes, if that makes sense. There's a lot of scenery in here, and I'm not the biggest person when it comes to scenery. I like people, I like animals, I like food. I don't really like coloring little house scenes, and I feel like this book had more of that in it. Also, I'm just not a big fan of the romance genre. Like, it's not a genre I really read or watch on TV, and I can appreciate the pages and color them for Valentine's Day, but it's just not my thing. I guess you could probably tell by the fact that I like horror a lot. I did do this one for Valentine's Day that I really like, my bees with my rainbow flower. And I know I've done several in here. I did these donuts or cookies. To me, I think they would be donuts with little chocolates, and this was way back when I was first coloring in these books. So I hadn't done any of the outlining, and I barely even did any white highlights on it. I did this door, and this was before I was even doing glitter for the fire down here, so that has to be an early page. This one you can see I started doing the glitter on the fire, these swing set, which is a really cute picture. But like I'm saying, as you can see from the ones I've colored, a lot of scenes and not a lot of animals. Of course there are some animals in here. For example, there's some mice. Let's see if I can find another one. There's the mice again. There was a dog. It kind of takes me a little bit to flip through to find some of the animals, as you can see as I'm going through it, just because, like I said, there are less of them and more scenes. So that's really what took points on this one away. This was a very early page before I was doing white highlighting and outlining, but I am happy with how this one turned out. It is really cute. My ladybug watering her strawberries. That might be all I've colored in this one so far, just because, yeah, I'm not really a fan of scenes. That's just scenery with nothing going on in it. I prefer a scene like what's on the cover here. You know, you have the mice in it. It would be a little different to me if the mice weren't there and it was just the flowers and the stump. I wouldn't like to color that as much. But when you add the mice in, then I'm like, ooh, exciting. So we're down to the last two, and they're both some of her earliest books. Summer is the second to last, and it's because I really like the pages in here. A lot of animals, a lot of really cute different animals, frogs, lizards. But the lines in these early books are rather thin, and to be honest, that's the only reason that they are toward the bottom of my ranking. Let me show you, compared to her newest release, which is Easter. Here are the lines on that one. Oops, hang on, I knocked down my frog. Not a real frog, it's a little stuffed frog in a hat, but I knocked him down from where he was hanging at. Alright, now, can you see quite the difference in how thick the line art is in her newer books compared to her older ones? And for someone that colors in markers, I have to use fine tip markers in this book. I can't use my huge array of regular alcohol markers that is sitting in front of me. I do have to go for the fine tip ones to color in this book. I actually didn't even realize how thin the lines were in this one until I started comparing them to her more modern books. Now, I haven't colored nearly as many pages in this one. I actually think that I colored in it for the first time this month with Misty. I don't think I'd colored in this one at all before. But there are a bunch of cute pages in here. A lot of cute animals. You can tell how differently she draws stuff now, though. Look at this cricket. She wouldn't draw that way anymore. I love that page, but you can just tell how her art has evolved a lot. Of course, my favorite page in here is this frog band. But again, you can tell how differently she draws her frogs now from how she drew them back then. So I do think that is very interesting to see. And coming in last is her very first book, 50 Spring Miniatures. Not that there's anything wrong with this book and I dislike it by any means, it's just my least favorite out of all of her books, which still means I love it because it's a miniatures book. And this one, like the other one, has some very, very thin lines and details on some of the pages that are a little more intricate than what I personally like to color. Now, I know I have done a page in here, and this was all done in fine liners and glitter gel pen because it had to be because of how thin the pages in here are. I haven't done one yet for Minis in May, so I need to pick one out. But you can really tell, I think, with this book that Kamila Angelkova was finding her footing on how she wanted to do these pages. Let me find a picture of a mouse in here. You can really tell how differently she draws mice now to how she did when she first started out. It was like she was finding her style, kind of, which is really cool to look back and compare them, honestly. Okay, gosh, I know she has a mouse in here somewhere. I know I saw them, and I'm just talking about them, and now I can't find them. I also think this one, a little bit like the Romantic Miniatures one, has a lot of scenes in general and less animals, so that put it a little lower down on my list. Gosh, I thought there was a mouse in here, but maybe there wasn't even a mouse in here at all. Well, here's a good example with this rabbit. You can tell how differently she draws bunnies nowadays. Perhaps I'm thinking of the mice being in the summer one. Maybe she shouldn't start putting them in until the summer book. And of course it is so odd to me that, yeah, I don't see a mouse in this. That's weird. Totally odd that she didn't have the mouse in here yet, because those have kind of become so characteristic of them. Let's see if I can find a mouse in the summer one. Hold on. Were there mice in here yet? She puts them in all of her books now, and so yeah, it's just so signature to see those little mice. Oh yeah, there's a mouse. Okay. See how differently they are drawn to how she draws them nowadays? Just really interesting to see how she has evolved, in my opinion. I think that's so cool. But yeah, again, this one has thinner lines, and she was finding her style. It's not quite the signature Camellia Angelkova style that we've come to know and love, but the images are still super cute. Look at this dog in the rain. She likes to do a lot of animals with umbrellas, and I love that. So I've put it as the bottom of my list, but once again, just because it's at the bottom of my list of Camellia Angelkova books does not mean that by any means it is at the bottom of my list of coloring books. It is still far ahead of my least favorite coloring book overall, because these books, they are just some of my favorite books, and honestly, Camellia's books are the only books that I will buy sight unseen. She posts that one has come out on Instagram, and I go buy it immediately. If it's got miniatures in the title, I just have to have it. I love all of them, and I can't wait to see what she's going to do next. What are your favorite books from Camellia Angelkova, and what do you think she's going to do next? What would you like to see? I think the desert one I mentioned would be fun, but I also think a farm one would be fun. Some horses and goats and donkeys, things like that. I think those would be really fun to see. I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little ranking video. Thank you guys so much for watching.